Hello, this is Tim Chambers of Multi-Level Living, your consciousness coach. Thanks for tuning in. I wanted to talk a little bit today about the world of eternal conflict, which we live in. The reason why I call it that is basically that's what it is in terms of history. You look back over the history, what we might refer to as known history. Um, Besides other civilizations, ancient, pre ancient civilizations, which some of us believe in, but in terms of known history, history that is of the last 4 to 6,000 years, civilization coming out of Mesopotamia, coming out of the Indus Valley in India, coming out of the Yellow River Valley in China. Um, it's pretty much a world of eternal conflict. It's all based on war, getting the whoever has the best technology, the best war technology, is the one who has control of the assets, the natural assets, and then that group. Sometimes individual with a group, sometimes it's more of a group, seeks to control the mind, the mental aspect, the belief systems of the people in a us against them type of a paradigm, if you will. And so it goes, and so it goes, and so it goes. One group conquers the other, basically employs the same strategies and tactics, and back and forth we go. So fast forward to modern times, we have this concept of the unity consciousness, which is kind of a buzzword of the spiritual movement, or in the world of Qi, the Taoists, the ancient Taoists, by the way, had this concept of a unified energetic field or energy field that they called Qi, which we practice when we do Qigong, which, or in the Hindu philosophy, you have prana. This is kind of like an energetic connection among us, between us, within us, and without us. The earth as well as the universes. And this is how we kind of interconnect with one another and communicate with one another, not only in physically, but also in psychic and energetic ways. But in terms of modern society, how it works, it basically is in the realm of faith or belief. And so when we have belief, now we're talking about systems of belief. So my question to you is this: how do we shift from all of the beliefs that we have been programmed with, that teach us, and all of history that teaches us that the world is a dangerous place, and therefore the only way to really survive and thrive is through conflict, this concept of the world of eternal conflict, versus, or permeating into, something that is more like a unified field consciousness, and this concept that it actually is important to treat those with fewer assets with in such a way that they have opportunities to educate and lift themselves up. That's actually better for everybody. And you don't have to be of the mindset that in order for one person to be successful, or one group to be successful, another group must be unsuccessful and must suffer. So the belief systems involved have to do with mostly what we've been trained, indoctrinated with, is this kind of eternal conflict concept. So if we're going to be able to shift from a polarized us against them view of the world, view of our everyday life, into a it's all us and I'm safe and okay uh, type of a concept. We have to work through our deeply inbred belief systems that have to do with bias, prejudice, and just this kind of underlying belief that you have to look out for number one to the detriment of others. One of the most um, profound and basic belief systems that we have is the idea of the subconscious contract that we all have with one another, social contract. And the basic one, the fundamental basic one of the subconscious, or sometimes they say psychic, I like to call it subconscious because it affects our behavior directly, is our contract with our parents when we are children. So people talk about, the inner child, and, doing work with your inner child to try to nurture, love, and educate your own inner child, which is a part of yourself, with your own adult self or your own higher self. And those are good things to do. But it's also important from a behavioral standpoint to understand how your relationship with your mom, your relationship with your dad and your siblings when you were an actual physical child, how profound an effect that has on our lives as adults. So there's this kind of inner child contract, a parent-child contract. Basically, it's a contract, and in a contract is transactional, right? So it's like you get something and you give something and you get something. So from a child's standpoint, everything's about three things: love, safety, and survival. So the survival aspects have to do with the good old stuff: food, shelter, clothing, protection from the environment. And the safety aspect has to do with protection within the environment, within the house, within the family dynamic, as well as outside. But more importantly, in a real vulnerable, intimate way, it has to do with feeling safe and secure within your own family dynamic. And so from a child's standpoint, love basically equals attention. And love equals the ability for the child to do what the child has to do in order to get those things provided to him or her, because let's face it, a child can't do those things for himself, right? Doesn't earn money, can't go to the store, maybe he can go to the refrigerator, if he or she is allowed. So what the child does, that's what the child gets, the receiving part. What the child does is learn how to give, learn how to behave, learn how to adapt. So, for example, if you're a child and you grow up in like a chaotic situation, like big family, 6 siblings, dad's works, doesn't make a lot of money, so he works too hard and too much just to make ends meet. Mom's at home with the kids. She's got a lot of stress because she's trying to manage, 6 kids. That's can create a certain amount of chaos, right, in the child's world. So based on the personality of the child is going to adapt based on their personality and do what they need to do to get their needs met. So you have, for example, maybe you have an aggressive child. That child is going to go out, dominate the other kids, and either physically or mentally or verbally to get its needs met. The parents will respond to that one way or the other, but still the child gets his needs met. Okay, that's the contract. So the contract there would be: I'm aggressive and I don't ask for permission. I just ask to be forgiven later. That type of a philosophy, and that's how I get my needs met, and it works for him or her. On the other end of the spectrum, personality spectrum, you might have somebody who's more internalized personality, and they learn how to avoid confrontation or be the perfect one, you know. So as long as I'm perfect, I do what I'm told, I get good grades, I get praise for not causing trouble, that's how I get my needs met. Okay? And then all the variations in between. So this is how a contract is kind of evolves, and basically this translation, this setup, this dynamic is translated into the world of adults once the child grows to teenagehood and young adulthood, starts moving out into the world, and basically applies the same principles to get their needs met in the business world, in the social world, outdoors. So that's kind of the beginning, the genesis of our belief systems, and just some food for thought for you. If you'd like more information, go to multilevelliving.com. Thanks for tuning in. This is Tim Chambers, your consciousness coach.